The crystal chandelier cast warm light over our dining room table while Sophia picked at her salmon. Our closest friends surrounded us, the Hendersons, the Patels, my brother Danny. 10 years of marriage, and this was how it ended. "I have an announcement," Sophia said, setting down her fork. The room went quiet. She placed both hands on her rounded belly, that smug smile spreading across her face. "Finally, a baby with good genes." The words hung in the air like poison. I set my fork down slowly, feeling every eye shift between us. "He'll be lucky," I said, my voice calm as glass. Our friends shifted uncomfortably, but I saw Ethan's reaction from across the table. That smarmy bastard couldn't help his quick smirk. He thought he was so clever in his designer shirt, gym-sculpted arms crossed like he owned the world. He had no idea I already knew everything. Jack Dwyer had been worth every penny of his $5,000 retainer. 3 weeks of surveillance had delivered a manila envelope thick with proof. Photos of Ethan sneaking out of motels, credit card receipts, text messages that made my stomach turn. But the real prize was buried deeper. Jack had found cracks in Ethan's perfect facade. The man had secrets that would make Sophia's betrayal look like a parking ticket. "You're acting strange," Sophia said. "Am I?" I leaned back, completely relaxed. "I'm just thinking about genetics." Fascinating subject. The table fell silent. Danny knew me well enough to recognize the tone. "Ethan," I said, "what makes genes good exactly? Intelligence? Physical fitness? Maybe loyalty?" His smirk vanished. He was staring at me like a man trying to read cards. "Or maybe good genes are just whatever Sophia decides they are this week." Sophia slammed her palm against the table. "What the hell is wrong with you?" "Language, sweetheart. We have guests." But inside I was smiling. Let her build her castle on sand. I had information that would turn their fairy tale into a nightmare. The next 3 weeks passed like a fever dream. Sophia strutted around town like pregnancy royalty, hitting every brunch spot and boutique baby store. She'd traded business attire for flowing dresses that showcased her bump. I played my part perfectly. The wounded husband, staying late at my accounting firm, eating dinner alone while she attended prenatal yoga that ended suspiciously late. Meanwhile, Jack Dwyer earned every penny of his expanded contract. Updates came via encrypted messages every 48 hours. Ethan Jameson, age 34, PhD in molecular biology from Stanford, currently employed at Biotech Solutions, married to Rachel Morrison for 8 years. 2 children, Emma, 6, and Jack, 4. The photos made my blood sing with anticipation. Ethan pushing his daughter on swings, helping his son build a treehouse, kissing his wife goodbye every morning at 7:15 sharp. Perfect family man. Perfect genes. Perfect lie. But the real gold mine came when Jack called my office directly. "You sitting down, Michael? What did you find? Your boy Ethan's got financial problems, big ones. Rachel doesn't work. His biotech salary barely covers their mortgage, car payments, and private school tuition." I leaned forward. "How bad?" "Credit cards maxed. Behind on house payments. And here's the kicker. He's been borrowing from his research budget. Internal audits investigating." The pieces clicked into place. Ethan wasn't just cheating, he was looking for financial salvation. Sophia represented escape wrapped in ego boost. "There's more. I followed him to a divorce attorney yesterday. He's planning to leave Rachel right after your wife gives birth." I actually laughed. "He thinks Sophia's going to support him?" "Poor bastard doesn't know she's planning to leave you for him." That evening, I found Sophia arranging baby clothes in my former office. Tiny onesies, blankets, a crib that cost more than most cars. "What do you think?" she asked. "Very nice." Ethan must be excited. Her hands froze over miniature shoes. "What did you say?" I said it must be exciting. New baby and all. She searched my face for hidden meaning, but I'd perfected my poker face during 20 years of client meetings. "You've been acting weird lately." Work stress. Maybe you should see a therapist. Maybe. I paused at the doorway. Oh, Ethan called earlier. Something about meeting tomorrow night. Parking lot behind the gym? The color drained from her face. He called here? Left a message. Seemed urgent. That was a lie, but I wanted to plant paranoia seeds. Let her wonder what I knew. Sleep came easily that night. For the first time in months, I felt in control. The rumors started like cancer cells. Sophia and Melissa spread poison through every social circle we'd built. Michael's having a midlife crisis, came whispers at the grocery store. Ethan's just so much more present, Sophia told Rebecca Martinez at the country club. But the breaking point came Thursday evening at Morrison's Steakhouse. I was having dinner with Danny when Sophia walked in with Ethan. Michael's completely checked out, Sophia said as they settled nearby. He barely acknowledges the baby. Maybe because it's not his baby, Ethan replied, loud enough for half the restaurant to hear. Danny's fork stopped mid-air. Did he just... Yeah. He's probably impotent anyway, Sophia continued, giggling. Years of trying, nothing. Then Ethan comes along and boom, instant pregnancy. Good genes, Ethan said, raising his wine glass mockingly. They both laughed. Actually laughed. I stood slowly, ignoring Danny's urgent whisper to sit down. But instead of confronting them, I walked to the restroom and called Jack. I need you to tail Ethan tonight. Something big is about to happen. 2 hours later, I sat in my car outside Ethan's gym when he emerged. The parking lot was nearly empty, just security lights casting long shadows. He saw me immediately. Reed, this is pathetic. I got out slowly. Is it? Following us around like some jealous ex-boyfriend. Sophia deserves better. She deserves the truth. He stepped closer, wine and cologne mixing in the night air. The truth is, you're a failure as a husband, and you'll be a failure as a father. That's when I shoved him. Not hard, just enough to make him stumble into his BMW, but it felt like breaking a dam. 20 years of playing by rules, being responsible, keeping quiet. You think you know me? I advanced on him. You think this is just about Sophia? He tried regaining footing, but I was inside his space now. Weekend tennis and stress workouts had kept me stronger than my desk job suggested. I know you're pathetic, he said, confidence wavering. I slapped him, open palm across his cheek, hard enough to echo off concrete walls. I know about Rachel, I said quietly. His body went rigid. What? Your wife, Ethan. Pretty brunette, lives in Westfield, makes amazing apple pie. Color drained from his face like water down a drain. I pulled out my car keys and walked to his BMW. The metallic scratch I carved along the driver's side was long and deep, exposing bare metal. Oops. Rage replaced shock. You son of a bitch. He swung wildly, but gym punches are telegraphed and sloppy. I ducked, grabbed his shirt, used his momentum to slam him against his damaged car. Here's what happens next, I whispered. You keep playing house with Sophia until I'm ready. When I drop the hammer, you disappear. No goodbye, no explanation. Just gone. You're insane. No, I'm thorough. Ask Jack Dwyer if you don't believe me. He's documented your whole double life. I walked back to my car, leaving him holding his cheek next to his scratched BMW. 3 nights later, driving home from a client meeting, I noticed headlights following. Same distance through 4 turns and 2 lights. When I tested by pulling into a gas station, the dark sedan drove past without stopping. But the driver was definitely Ethan. 2 blocks from home, he reappeared. This time, no subtlety, pulled close behind my Honda, high beams flooding my interior with harsh light. I turned away from our suburban street toward the industrial district. If he wanted intimidation games, we'd play somewhere without witnesses. Roads got darker away from residential areas. Street lights became sparse, then disappeared. just my headlights cutting darkness and his high beams burning my mirrors. He rode my bumper aggressively, trying to force me over, but I knew these roads from college pizza delivery days. At Morrison Avenue, I made a sudden right into an alley between abandoned buildings. Ethan followed, taking the bait. Except this alley was a dead end. I hit brakes hard, Honda sliding to a stop before the concrete barrier. Behind me, Ethan's tires screamed as he slammed into a dumpster with satisfying metal crunch. I walked back toward his steaming car. He climbed out favoring his left shoulder, perfect hair finally messed up. "You crazy bastard," he shouted, voice echoing off brick walls. "Funny. That's what I was thinking about you. You could have killed us both." But I didn't. I'm very precise about these things. He looked around, realizing where we were. Abandoned buildings, no traffic, no witnesses. "What do you want?" "I want you to understand something." I stepped closer, watching fear replace anger in his eyes. "You're driving two families into the ground. Sophia doesn't know about Rachel and the kids. Rachel doesn't know about Sophia. But I know about both. You don't know anything. I know you're broke. I know biotech is auditing your accounts. I know you took a cash advance on Rachel's credit card to pay for Sophia's baby shower gift." Each fact hit like a physical blow. His shoulders sagged. "When Sophia finds out what you really are, a married father stealing from his employer to finance his affair, I won't even need to touch you. She'll do worse than I ever could. She loves me. She loves your story. The fantasy version that doesn't exist." I turned away, then paused. "Next time you want to play car games, remember, I grew up in this town. I know every street, every alley, every dead end. This isn't over." "No," I called back without turning. "It's just getting started." The Winchester Country Club's ballroom had been transformed into magazine perfection. White roses, gold-trimmed settings, a chocolate fountain that cost more than most monthly rents. 50 friends and family milled around, sipping champagne. Sophia held court near the gift table, radiant in flowing blue, Melissa hovering like a loyal assistant. Everyone knew about the designer nursery, private pediatrician, exclusive birthing center. "Michael's been so supportive," Sophia told Mrs. Henderson loud enough for me to hear. "He's finally excited about fatherhood." I smiled and nodded, playing the proud husband-to-be, but my jacket pocket held a manila envelope that would end this charade permanently. Ethan arrived fashionably late in a $3,000 charcoal suit, working the room like a politician, shaking hands with my friends, playing supportive family friend to perfection. "Beautiful event," he told me near the bar. Sophia outdid herself. She always does. Attention to detail is her specialty. Something in my tone made him pause, studying my face, probably wondering why I seemed so calm, so content. "Everything okay, Michael?" "Perfect. Absolutely perfect timing for everything." At 4 o'clock, Melissa called for attention. Gift opening ceremony time. Sophia settled into the ornate chair, surrounded by silver and gold-wrapped presents. She opened smaller gifts first, clothes, toys, parenting books. I waited until she'd opened half the presents, until the crowd was completely focused, until even catering staff had stopped to watch. Then I stood up. "Before we continue," I said, voice carrying across the quiet room, "I have something special to share." Sophia looked surprised but pleased, probably expecting some sentimental speech about our parenthood journey. "I've been researching genetics lately. Family history, that sort of thing. Sophia's right. Good genes matter. They determine intelligence, health, character." I paused, finding Ethan in the crowd. "Honesty!" Nervous chuckles rippled through the room. They sensed something coming. So I thought everyone should see exactly what genetic legacy we're celebrating today. I opened the envelope and pulled out the first photograph. Ethan with his arm around Rachel Morrison, both smiling at a Christmas tree. Two children grinned from their laps. "This is Ethan Morrison's family," I announced, holding the photo high. "His wife Rachel, and their children, Emma and Jack." Absolute silence followed. 50 people staring at a photograph that destroyed everything they thought they knew. Sophia's face cycled through confusion, disbelief, understanding, then terror. "What is this?" she whispered. "This is honesty," I said, pulling out another photo. Ethan kissing Rachel goodbye, her pregnant belly visible. "Taken 6 months ago, right when your affair started." The crowd erupted. Gasps, whispers, wine glasses hitting marble. Camera phones appeared as people documented the moment. "Michael, stop!" Ethan said, pushing through the crowd, voice lacking its usual confidence. "Stop what?" I pulled out printed text messages. "Stop sharing these romantic messages you sent my wife during your daughter's dance recital." I read aloud, "Can't wait to start our real life together. Rachel and the kids will understand eventually." More gasps. The crowd pressed closer, drawn like rubberneckers at accidents. "Or maybe these financial documents?" I held up bank statements, credit reports. "About stealing from your research budget to pay for hotels with my wife?" "That's enough!" Sophia struggled to stand. "Everyone needs to leave. Now." Nobody moved. They were frozen, watching the collapse. "We're just getting to the good part," I said, "where Ethan promises to leave his family while telling Rachel he's working late to provide for their children." I scattered photographs across the gift table like playing cards. Pictures of Ethan's double life, spread among baby presents and flowers. "Good genes," I said, looking directly at Ethan. "What do you think, everyone?" Ethan snapped. He rushed across the room, dress shoes slipping on polished marble. But rage makes people sloppy, and I'd been preparing for this moment. I sidestepped his charge, grabbed his collar as he stumbled past, and used his momentum to slam him face first against a decorative pillar. "You thought you could ruin me?" I whispered in his ear. "Take my wife, my reputation, my life, and I'd just disappear." "Let me go," he gasped. "Some people play for keeps, Ethan." "You should have researched that before starting this war." I stepped back, releasing him. He turned around, face red and furious, perfect hair disheveled, expensive suit wrinkled and torn. Security guards rushed in. People shouted questions. Cell phone flashes created strobe effects, but I stood in the center, completely calm. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced over the noise, "I present the father of my wife's baby, Ethan Jameson. Married father of 2, embezzler, and genetic dead end." Sophia pushed through toward Ethan, tears streaming. "Tell them it's not true. Tell them you're getting divorced, that we're starting fresh." "Sophia," he said weakly, "this isn't how I wanted—" "Answer me!" she screamed. "Are you married or not?" The room fell silent, waiting. "Yes," he whispered. "I'm married." Sophia staggered backward like he'd struck her. "The children? Emma and Jack. They're mine." "How long?" 5 years. She made a sound that wasn't quite sob, wasn't quite scream. Something primal and broken that made security guards uncomfortable. Then she turned on me. "You knew," she accused, pointing one shaking finger. "You knew and you let me believe." "I let you choose," I said simply. "You chose this. You chose him. You chose to humiliate me in front of our friends and family. I'm pregnant with his child. You're pregnant with a married man's child. There's a difference." Ethan tried slipping away, but I caught the movement. "Going somewhere?" I called out loud enough for everyone to hear. He froze near the entrance, escape blocked by curious onlookers. "I need to get home." "Rachel's expecting me." "Rachel?" I repeated thoughtfully. "Yes, let's talk about Rachel." Ethan's face went gray. "In fact, she thinks you're at a work conference in Chicago." You told her you'd call tonight after your presentation. The crowd pressed closer. This was complete character assassination, performed live. What kind of father lies to his 6-year-old about where daddy goes at night? Ethan charged again, but I was ready. I grabbed his collar and tie, spun him around, slammed his back against the marble pillar so hard it knocked breath from him. You want to know about good genes? I hissed, face inches from his. Good genes don't steal. Good genes don't lie. Good genes don't abandon children to chase rich married women. His whole body trembled against the pillar. Your kids will grow up knowing their father's a cheater and thief. How's that for genetic legacy? Please, he gasped. Let me explain. Explain to Rachel. Explain to Emma and Jack. Explain to your boss when he finds the missing funds. Explain to Sophia when she realizes she traded 10 years for a man who can't pay his own mortgage. You thought you could destroy my life and walk away clean, I told Ethan. You thought you were smarter, better, more deserving. You thought wrong. I released him suddenly. He slumped against the pillar as fight went out of him, leaving just a broken man in expensive clothes. Security moved in, but nothing was left to secure. Ethan wasn't fighting. He stared at the floor, calculating how many ways his life had imploded. Sophia tried approaching him, but he turned away like she was radioactive. Don't, he said quietly. This is over. But the baby was a mistake. All of this was a mistake. She made that broken sound again, louder now. Several women moved toward her, maternal instincts overriding circumstances. But I felt nothing. No sympathy, no regret, no satisfaction, just empty completion, like closing books on a difficult audit. I straightened my tie, checked my watch, 4:47 p.m., and looked around the destroyed party. Overturned chairs, abandoned champagne, scattered photographs telling Ethan's double life story. Friends and family stared with expressions ranging from shock to admiration to fear. They'd never seen this side of me, the side that planned, waited, struck with surgical precision. The bar's still open, I announced. Feel free to stay and finish your drinks. I walked toward the exit, stepping around debris of Sophia's perfect afternoon. Behind me, whispered conversations started as people processed what they'd witnessed. At the doorway, I paused and looked back. Sophia sat in her ornate chair, surrounded by unopened baby gifts and scattered evidence of her lover's betrayal. Ethan stood alone near the pillar, blood trickling from a forehead cut. Looks like the genes weren't so good after all, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Then I walked into afternoon sunlight, leaving them to clean up wreckage of their perfect plan. My Honda started first try. I drove home slowly through neighborhoods where normal families lived normal lives, where husbands came home to wives who loved them, where children played in yards belonging to their actual fathers. By the time I reached my driveway, my phone was buzzing with messages from friends, family, probably reporters who'd heard about the country club incident. I turned the phone off and went inside. The house was quiet. Sophia's things were scattered around, pregnancy books, ultrasound photos, nursery paint samples, but they felt different now, like artifacts from someone else's life. I poured 2 fingers of bourbon and sat in my leather chair, the one Sophia complained about because it didn't match our decor. For the first time in months, I felt completely at peace. Outside, sunset painted our perfect suburban neighborhood in gold and red. Tomorrow would bring lawyers, paperwork, probably police reports. Ethan would face Rachel and explain their missing money. Sophia would rebuild her life from scratch, pregnant and alone. But tonight, I sat in my uncomfortable chair, drinking good bourbon, listening to the silence of a house where all lies had finally been exposed. Justice has its own genetic code, and mine were perfect.